Hi.
Hello.
What's up?
I'm streaming, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Uh,
I just had to mute the stream because I was watching.
okay. You
Um,
answered the call.
What?
You answered the call to action for Femcel.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, may as well. I'm here.
Okay. Do you want to introduce yourself as anything, or do you want to remain somewhat anonymous?
People in DIRL know me as Maya, so
Okay.
I've been hanging
Well-known
around.
individual.
What?
A well-known individual amongst DIRL. All right. So
Wait.
you're a Femcel. What does that mean to you?
Okay, so I think people, especially men, when they say that they're an incel, they kind of define themselves like that.
Okay.
I don't really define, like you were like, oh, let's talk to the femcel. And I was like, I've never been referred that way, you know?
Sure.
But, but I kind of have similar experiences. So
Two incels?
I guess I like loosely qualify myself like that.
Okay. What do you define as your similar experiences? Sage, thank you for reaching level 10.
I think that there's a fundamental disconnect between what I want out of like relationships and what men want, which makes them fundamentally like not able to happen. So like I think like a lot of the red pill and like a bunch of other stuff like that keeps saying that like men want sex and women want relationships, and I really identify with that. And it's hard to navigate interactions with men when it's just like they constantly just want sex from you, and that's always in my head. So it makes me scared of them.
Okay, so there's a couple things there. So you identify with the idea that in your life, men have typically wanted sex, but you want a relationship?
Yeah.
Okay. And when you said it scares you, what are you talking about?
It's scary to navigate a relationship that you know someone wants something from you that you don't want to give. So it's just like they're constantly trying to trick me, or like I have to be on guard. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I see what you're getting at there. You have to like be mindful as to whether or not their intentions might be this way or that way, and like whether or not they're being tricky and schemy.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I can understand how that might be an issue. So
Yeah.
So then when you get to like identifying or having a similar experience to what you feel like femcells have, are you referring to like a SCO2, thank you for reaching level 10, and I think you started on the tutorial not too long ago, so you're pushing for level 25. I appreciate it. Are you like, have you been in a relationship before, like any of them at all, or in what was the
So
issues
I've
with those?
been, I like grew up religious, which is probably a big part of this, but it was taught to me very early that it was like, if you aren't careful, men are going to take advantage of you.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way to get around that is to basically just like get married before you have sex and like lock them into a relationship before sex is even on the table.
Okay.
So yeah, the mentality of like men are out to get you and you need to like be on guard to make sure they're not going to trick you is like, I think something similar to what men experience, where they're like, women are out to get them and they're like just generally scared of women and like all that.
Yeah. So you growing up, are you transparent about how old you are?
Yeah, I'm 22.
You're 22.
I'm pretty young. Yeah.
Okay.
And so you think your identification with this group is primarily on the basis of you wanting a relationship and them wanting sex. So you haven't found a guy that like just wants a relationship?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not the most attractive person, which is a contributing factor. And then I also, like, I don't know, it's just whenever I've tried to get close to guys to like get in relationships with them, but it's always been like my more attractive friends that they're looking at, or like, I don't know, just people that have like either are smarter, like more charismatic. I don't know. It's just like, I mean, a lot of it's just that I haven't found the right person. Like people just tell me like, oh wait, like be patient, you'll find the right person. But it's like, it like, I don't know. There's like, it's like I've had guys be interested in me, but it was only for sex. And when I found that out, it was like a very big letdown. So that's.
So when you're talking about they were smarter or more charismatic, did you mean that like they were able to like riz their way into convincing you that they wanted something more, but they didn't?
No. I'm talking about the girls.
Oh, wait, what about, okay, hold on. Then yeah, that changes it. What do you mean they're smarter or more charismatic? Are you saying that's why they might be more successful in dating?
Yeah. So like I've had, I have a close friend that's like very, very successful, like unreal. Like I joke that she's like what are those like, magical creatures that are like, that attract like people?
Sirens?
Yeah, she's like a siren basically. Because like all the guys that she has ever met in her life are interested in having a relationship with her. And yeah, she's attractive, but it's very much like her personality is just very, very, very tailored to what guys want. And I think the frustration of me not knowing how to make myself more attractive to guys in the personality department, at least, is.
Let's get into that. What do you, when you're talking about a personality that guys want that your friend embodies, what are you talking about? Let us in on that.
You're saying like what traits does my friend have?
What about her that you believe is the personality trait that men want, or like is what men want?
I mean, like not autistic is probably one of them.
Not autistic. Got it.
That's very vague. Yeah.
Is that actually it, or is there?
I mean, no. Okay, so there's things like being more submissive and like, I don't know, being like a tease or like flirty.
Okay.
Yeah, I've just found that I subconsciously am very unavailable. So like I won't hold eye contact. I'll be like, it's just a thing that's been ingrained in me since I was young, that it's like, this is how to keep you safe. And it's like, but it also doesn't get me a relationship that I need. So I'm just like, yeah.
Yeah, for a while I was in a similar position where I couldn't hold eye contact. It was something that I actually hated. Couldn't do it. Rather swiftly, I learned how to do it. I was just like, you know what? I'll just deliberately make an effort to make eye contact. And then I got quite good at it. When I want to make eye contact, I'm pretty good at it. But the issue that I've noticed is that like no woman wants to hold eye contact with me, like ever. Even on like dates, it's very difficult. So I'm like confused as to how like to integrate it properly. Maybe I'm holding it too much. Maybe my facial expression or like doing whatever. My recommend, like, have you tried deliberately to make eye contact? Maybe it was just easy for me, and maybe it's hard for other people.
No, so like, yeah, I've practiced just holding eye contact with people, and sometimes if they're like, I like to call it like on my wavelength or whatever, like sometimes they'll just like hold it, and then we'll have like a staring contest a little bit. You
don't like smile when you do that?
What?
You don't like smile when you're having the staring contest? I feel like that's a pretty universal, like...
A little bit. Not really, though. It's like, 'cause I know that they don't want me, so it's just like, it's just like a thing. Like it's like more intense people hold more eye contact more, I feel like. So
When you're
yeah, I've just had like the people that are more intense in my life that are like have big personalities or whatever, they like I'll get into a staring contest with them. But normal people, I just like, I don't know. There's something about it's like you like I need to be comfortable with them to hold eye contact because I'm scared that it's gonna like send the wrong message or whatever. So like if I see a guy that's attractive, I'll be careful not to hold eye contact with them because I don't want to like give them ideas or whatever. I don't know. It's weird.
No, I know the thought process. It was something that I can very much relate to in my life, where there was women I was attracted to, and I wouldn't want to like make eye contact with them because I wouldn't want them to think I was staring. But the only way to get them to know that I might be interested at all was to make eye contact.
Yeah.
And so
Catch
like I
funny.
was stuck in that middle zone, and then I would just resort to just not making eye contact usually.
Yeah. The one time I've ever approached a guy, it was like me and my really, really attractive friend were sitting next to each other. And I was like, I don't know if he's looking at me or her. It's like 90% her because she always gets it. So, but we were just like joking, and she said, oh, just go up to him. And she was joking, but I was like, okay, me as well. So I went up to him, and then he gave me his
Giga
number,
Chad.
but like it was just for sex. So I was like,
Wait, I'm sorry, what?
what's the point?
That's a Giga
What?
Chad move. That's some. You got some cojones. Sorry, what
Yeah.
happened after you walked up?
But then I never wanted to do it again because I was like, I don't want to give guys ideas that I'm like looking for sex, you know?
Looking for sex by approaching them?
Yeah, because they think like if I'm like, oh hey, like I think you're cute, whatever, they're like they automatically assume that I want to hook up and that I like don't want to go on a date and get to know them. I don't know. It's like, or at least that's their preference is to just hook up.
I think for most guys it's probably going to be their preference, but I don't think it excludes the ability to do that. Like there's not really an alternative, right? Like an alternative, not sorry with the sex thing, but there isn't an alternative for how you can communicate interest. Like how would you communicate interest for a date but not possibly like have sex be on the table? It's not possible. You communicate.
Yeah, that's my problem.
Yeah. So wouldn't the best idea be to communicate interest and then like hope for the best and then like be vigilant about sex?
Yeah. So that's another thing that I've experienced where like I will say, hey, like I'll be really upfront. I'll just be like, I'm not open to like one night stands. I don't do hookups. Like, you know, if I'm doing it, it's to go on a date, to go like to be in a relationship. And they'll be like, yeah, that's cool. And they'll hang out. And then all of a sudden it's like, you know, they start getting touchy and then like, they're like, oh, do you want to like go back to my place or whatever? And I'm just like,
So at least for, I'm not sure how touchy you're referring to, but I know that at least amongst more of my normie friends and stuff, the people that are not like chronically online, to my knowledge, it's a pretty well-regarded thing that if you don't escalate physical touch, intimacy of some kind as a man, she'll lose interest. Just straight up. That's like that's how it works. You have to escalate, otherwise they'll lose interest. And as somebody like me, where I have crippling inability to escalate for physical intimacy or anything like that, it's been true in my experience. Where I haven't done it, typically they lose interest. It's typically how it goes. So I wouldn't rule it out as, oh, they only want to have sex because they're like trying to hold my hand or maybe trying to like rub shoulders or like put their arm around you. Again, depends on the levels. If they're like going for a tit grab or something like that, it's like, okay, you know?
yeah.
But yeah, like I think for something like that, it's going to be pretty case by case.
Yeah, usually, the way that I usually feel attraction is just like you get to know a guy, you know, they're like very like charismatic or whatever it is. And then, yeah, you just want to like spend time with them or whatever it is. So like, I don't know, in those scenarios, they haven't really been like, there hasn't been that like escalation of intimacy or whatever, or touch. Like we've had deep conversations, but I don't necessarily like, I think for me it was more emotional, and like the idea of going into a date not knowing someone that well and then all of a sudden having touch beyond the table is like, you know, that's not for me.
Yeah, I think I think you're having an interesting issue, because I think it is like very much the opposite. Well, not the opposite, but like it is the woman's end of like the issue that I'm having. The things that you're selecting for, the market just doesn't. The things that you're looking for, the market does not select for. So what I'm looking for would actually be somebody who has similar like disposition towards relationships and like dating as you. The fact of the matter is, you are unbelievably rare as a woman. You are like probably like 1 in 10,000. Like it is unbelievable, because again, it is all of the onus is, and genuinely you lose if you do not escalate physical intimacy as a guy. Like it's just, you are cut out of the market completely. It's just not a thing you can do.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, I mean, like
I was like very normal girl experience that like you like that you just want the relationship, and that like sex is scary and
yeah,
all that.
that's normal. But the thing is that a lot of women will get bored if you don't make moves, because in most cases women are never going to make moves. It's not going to happen. They're not going to go in, they're not going to kiss you, they're definitely not going to escalate towards sex. So you get stuck in this limbo. That's what happened to me. Let me tell you a story. My very first relationship, we didn't do anything sexual. Do you want to guess how long the relationship was?
How long?
9 months. We didn't do anything sexual for 9 months because I couldn't do it. I couldn't initiate. She didn't do it for 9 months. And I don't think this is like, I don't think most women will have it last that long, but it's kind of like a microcosm of the situation, which is that you are cut out of the market, you are cut out of the game if you do not escalate as a man. So the thing you're looking for is literally selected for the opposite of as a man. You understand what I'm trying to say? Am I explaining this poorly?
Who doesn't like escalate like that. Yeah. Also, I think that like my attraction, like everything, the way that I view sex is like very, very, very intensely emotional, like more than the average woman. Like I know that women on average see sex as like more of an emotional thing, but for me, it's like a lot more intense. So that's why I'm like really against one night stands and all that for me personally, because it's not compatible with the way that I view sex. And like also another thing is that I know that guys don't like emotional girls. Like I've heard it a lot, so it's very hard to.
What do you mean by emotional girls?
What?
What do you mean by emotional girls?
Like women that need a lot more like attention or more clingy, or like I don't know. It's just like more of a job. Like they want more self-sufficient. Well, I mean, I guess it depends who you ask.
I think there was a comedy skit about it. It's like, fuck, somebody might be able to remember it. There was a skit about it. It was like, a man wants to be alone, and then essentially the idea is a man wants to be alone, and then like have a woman come in and like he can still do his own thing, but she can also like be a part of his life a little bit, you know, but still for the most part be on his own. I wouldn't characterize all men this way, but there was like a skit about it. I know how, the point is, I know how you can get that perception of a significant portion of men. I think it depends though, to be honest. There's definitely a whole thing where there's a lot of guys who like genuinely crazy women, like really emotional roller coaster. Like John Zerka, for example, has actually talked about this, where he's like, I love crazy women. You go from like, he was talking about it, and I actually think, it wouldn't surprise me if this is genuinely true. Where like, if you're a normal guy and you start fucking, you're gonna fuck normal women, and then that's gonna get stale, and then you're gonna want to fuck like or be in a relationship with like crazy women, because it's like a roller coaster of emotions or whatever. It has like highs or whatever. It keeps you on your toes. You don't like the monotony of just a stable, normal woman. And so yeah, I think there are some guys who will do that, but you don't give me the vibe that you're like manic pixie dream girl thing, right?
Yeah, no, I'm not looking for something like very ideal. Like, I'm not like very picky with looks or with like, I am pretty picky with temperament. I'd say like, I feel like they need to be very protective because like I do need that emotional support.
What do you mean they got to be very protective? Can you, in what way?
Just like willing to like care about me emotionally. I don't know, like,
okay,
it's a very hard thing to describe.
When you say protective, what I'm thinking is like, if a guy makes a comment to you in public, I'm like fighting him. That's what I'm thinking of. Like, don't look at my girl, she's my girl. That's what I'm thinking of when I hear
That
like.
too. That's not like the trait. I guess protective is the wrong word, but it's like very like nurturing and caring type thing.
But just to be clear,
that
isn't what that protective thing that I described is not something that you find to be attractive.
No, it is.
Oh, it is?
I think a lot of women would say that it's attractive, but like it's not something necessary. I think the necessary part is like be willing to like care about my feelings and like baby me a little bit. In like the least weird way possible. But yeah,
so
I don't know.
They're going to be nurturing, and then they're going to be somewhat okay. We'll
like
skip
dominant.
the protective thing because that's not a priority in your mind. They have to be nurturing.
Yeah, but like also very dominant. It's just like I'm selecting for like a very specific temperament that like I don't think guys are willing to like. I don't think I'm worth the effort guys would have to go through to be with me.
I just think in general,
I just don't think
people are archetypes. They tend to fall into archetypes, right? It's going to be very rare to find a guy who is very dominant and nurturing outside of maybe an abusive context. In an abusive context, I actually think it's very common for like a guy to be very dominant, and then once like an abusive cycle finishes, they'll be like very nurturing and make you feel like, oh no, I love you, let me get you this, let me do this for you, and then so that way you feel comfortable staying with them, and then the abusive cycle returns. That's typically
so I don't like, I think you're thinking about dominant in like a very cold way, which I see a lot. But when I mean dominant, I mean like more soft. Like you could be like I guess a dad, basically. This is all coming back to I have daddy issues. No, but
is that dad?
I think.
What do you mean by
like,
how is a
okay? So
dad
you know how
dominant?
a dad could be like very dominant and also very caring at the same time.
Kind of. Are you talking about with like discipline? Like they can discipline another person, like that a child, and then also care for the child?
Not really. Like when I say dominant, I mean like again like the emotional, like it's so hard to describe. I'm trying to find words. It's just like I'm responsible for you. I'm willing to take care of you. Like the like
so
more
you're, like,
traditional kind of like man woman role.
So you're looking for like a traditional kind of guy, but with like emotional intelligence.
Yeah, sort of. I don't know. It's like I've already like come to the conclusion that it's like I'm looking for something. Like it's not even that I'm looking for this. It's that I know this is what I need, like to fulfill my or to like meet my emotional needs. I need so much that there's not going to be a guy that's willing to go through that just to get me at the end when I'm like not that attractive and like not that special in any regard. So it's like there's an imbalance of what I need versus what I have or what I'm willing to give or whatever.
Okay.
That makes
I'm not really worried
Yeah, it's
about
just a
doing
personal
the.
problem.
I'm not really worried about doing the "What do you bring to the table" section of the Fresh and Fit podcast here. So
Yeah.
like it doesn't. That's not relevant to me. Is like the the back end of that. I'm just curious what in your mind, if that does contribute, then I guess then that could be a separate question. Do you believe if that you were very attractive? Let's just start with like a 7. I don't know what you rank yourself. A 7 out of 10. Do you think you'd be able to find somebody who would be willing to do all of that for you?
If I was a 7 out of 10?
Yep. Like at what
I think
caliber
so.
or
Yeah.
personality or whatever metric you would use, at what caliber do you think you would find somebody who'd be willing to do something like that for you?
You're saying like what's the lowest I could be that would also
Essentially, yeah.
I don't know, like I guess a 6. Like once you go lower than average, I think it's like you're asking for too much.
Okay. Where do you think you're at right now? Don't worry, I'm not gonna ask for like verification or some weird shit like that. I'm just your own mind.
Yeah. In my own mind. Well, it fluctuates a lot.
Okay. What does it fluctuate with, like your confidence, or does it fluctuate with like what you're wearing or something?
Both. Usually more confidence. But yeah, I think that the thing is that it is a big part of the equation. Like I think that the reason why you see a lot of incels that are like decently attractive but still struggle, it's like obviously they have a disconnect between reality and what they have in their head, like their own self-image. So I think that that is something that I think a lot about. I'm like, okay, I really need to focus on making sure that my perception of myself is like congruent with reality, so that I don't end up in a situation where I'm expecting too much of other people, or or I'm like putting myself down too much, and that's like really a really hard thing to do, is like get yourself on board with reality, or like find where that is.
Pack, thank you for hitting level 10. Yeah, I think it's pretty common for incels to say that my looks are holding me back, and almost in almost every case it's not. For the most part, whenever I talk with incels and whenever I see incels, it's not looks. It's my opinion. It's always social skills. I think the social demands for men is what prohibit them from being able to have sex in like 99% of cases. And it would be a lot easier if they knew that, but they keep looking at their physical appearance. So
yeah, the thing I like struggle with is that I'm also told that like a lot of the grading criteria for men is the looks. So I can't really be like, oh, that's not really affecting my, my dating chances that much, because it kind of is.
Yeah, that's got to be definitely a mind fuck. I definitely have said multiple times that I'm surprised there isn't more women who are like black pilled, in the sense that like men are black pilled, not like violent or anything like that, but like a little bit more vocal about how that system works, because that's got to be a bit of a mind fuck. Is like, okay, how much of that is this versus that,
Yeah.
Okay. So why do you think that you emotionally need that specific person, that like relationship person?
That's what I gravitate to in other people. And then like people who are like the people that I described basically. And then so like the once in a blue moon that I do meet that kind of person, I'll like get really, really, really attached. And I don't know, that's what I like idealize or like fantasize or whatever about in the ideal scenario. That's what it is.
Could you not settle for something a little bit lower on the totem pole there?
Yeah, but there comes a point to where it's not worth going through the effort of like finding someone if they're not going to give me what I need.
Well, it sounded like before you were saying that's what you optimally want. Is what you optimally want and what you need identical?
No, so there's like right now I have nothing. So
Okay.
it's like if I get something, I guess it's better, but it's like it's also like ideally I want to meet my emotional needs. Like I don't want to be left wanting. So you know.
So you're in
But
your
it's also,
mind.
like,
This makes you relate to the Femcel experience.
Yeah, I wouldn't go as strong as to say like I am a femcel and that's like part of my identity, because I think it's really not, especially with the way that like men identify with the label. So yeah, I just like I have similar experiences and I could relate to a lot of the things that incels say. I haven't really talked to femcel, so I don't really like know about it enough to relate to it, but what I hear about incels is that like, oh, I'm experiencing something similar, just instead of sex, it's relationships, and like instead of
Yeah, as
attraction, it's like emotional stuff, whatever.
yeah, for my understanding at least, in how I look at it, I think femcells are typically only oriented around relationships, because for the most part, as long as you have a pulse as a woman, you can have sex. Like sex is
Yeah.
is pretty obtainable, but the relationships.
I used to think.
Go ahead.
I used to think it wasn't. I used to think I was like, no guy would ever want me for anything. Like I'm just, I'm gonna be alone forever. And then like you get out in the world and you find somebody that wants to have sex with you. So
Yeah. Things. Yeah. Perspectives on that kind of change a bit.
yeah.
So do you don't think, like, in your mind, do you think you would get to a point where this idea of a person that you have in your mind will not be as much of a priority? Maybe you're going to change your standards around it? Like, is there something in your life that you could do to make it, I don't know, a little bit more feasible?
Yeah. So I probably should go to therapy to like figure out why I have such like heavy emotional needs. And then if I could work to get some of those resolved by myself, then maybe I can like lessen the burden a little for whatever poor man is, tied to me. But yeah, I guess that's the only real way to solve that. I don't really know if you could just get rid of emotional needs.
Okay.
Because I've tried I've been through therapy, and the therapists don't really have much to offer me, and so I relate to incels again with that.
Okay. From the issue that I'm having is you're talking about your emotional needs, but they aren't being fulfilled right now, correct?
Yeah.
So are you like miserable?
I mean, yeah. I'm like very, very lonely. So like I'm living, I'm okay, I'm like not on the brink of suicide or anything, but I am like lonely. It's just not a fun time.
So when you're talking about lonely, are you lonely in regards to a romantic situation, or you're lonely even in regards to like friends?
Mostly romantic. I have friends, no guy friends, but I have female friends.
You don't have any guy friends?
No, the only guy friend I've ever had was the friend that the really close friend that I have that's like a siren, basically. She like cycles through guys, so there will be like every so often another guy will be interested in her. So like there was at one point a guy who stuck around for a bit, and I would hang out with them. So yeah, I got close to that guy. But I don't, by myself, I don't make guy friends because I don't know how to interact with guys enough to like communicate friendship or anything.
How do you communicate with women to foster friendship?
I think the default with women is friendship, so
That's fair.
don't have an issue.
Yeah, that's fair, I guess. Yeah.
But I look for a lot of like male attention these days. Like I'm trying to find, like, I really like guy hugs. I don't know why, but they're better than like girl hugs. I don't know. I like hearing guys' voices, so like I'll put on like streams in the background just to hear it. Like I just need I need interaction with guys, and yeah, that's what is contributing to a lot of my loneliness.
Yeah, I imagine it's probably pretty isolating. It's gonna feel pretty isolating. Okay, so based on a lot of things you say, why don't you heavily identify with a femcel label?
I just don't think it's that important. Like, I feel like I'm like a fraud if I were to label myself a femcel, because it's like the severity is so little in comparison to when a guy says they're an incel. It's so much bigger of a deal, and like so much more severe.
What do you mean?
So like for them, I think it affects like you said, their social skills, like all their friends, like just their interaction with the real world, and like there's so much more behind the term incel that when I say I'm a femcel, it's like that I'm experiencing like a fraction of what you're experiencing. So it's like maybe if I were to compare myself to other femcels, then I would feel more comfortable. But I don't really know that many femcels. Like,
based on some of the femcel communities I've seen, it seems like you have a somewhat similar experience to a lot of them. Like you sound very, very, very similar. You want me to mute it? Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. Okay, so
Nice. Yeah, the interesting thing is that I've had conversations with this about people, and usually the thing they'll ask me is like, well, what advice do you have for incels? And then I always say like, just talk to more women. And then they're like, okay, so then apply that to you, and then just talk to more guys. But I feel like that doesn't necessarily apply, because then they'll just think that I want sex, and then it's like, okay, great.
Well, I don't think that's true. Again, how is a guy supposed to know if you're interested in dating him if you don't talk to him?
I guess. But also, like, yeah, I don't know. I think I just have to learn to communicate better, maybe. I don't know. It's hard to communicate one type of interest and not another.
Well, in this case, I don't think it's possible. I think you're going to get men that just want to have sex, but you need to deal with both, right? Like, there's no way to tell prior to going in. You just have to do trial and error, right? Keep trying.
Yeah.
There's no real
Yeah.
alternative.
Yeah, it's pretty scary though. I think I need a better system for going on dates because the one experience I had was not great.
What was that experience?
Where the guy was like getting touchy and all that.
Yeah, that doesn't sound very fun. But yeah, there's unfortunately I don't think there's any other way around it to be able to do it, right?
Yeah.
So in your mind, then, because you say that the severity isn't that bad, at least as you've compared it to incels. If you said that you're like kind of miserable, then I don't understand why you would think the severity isn't very bad.
Well, because I have a social life. I have like somewhat okay social skills. Like I'm a functioning human being, other than the fact that I don't know how to interact with guys. Like I have like a community of girlfriends, and like we go out and like I don't know. I have hobbies. I have like I feel like a human being. You know what I mean? I don't feel like a disaster or like a
I
failure.
mean, there's some incels who definitely don't feel that way, right? I was an incel. I felt that way. I had a very robust friend group in social life and stuff. I just was deeply uninteresting to women. Like,
Yeah.
would you say that those are somewhat equivalent? Or I guess I could
Yeah,
press
for
you
sure.
and I could say that, like, by that definition, like, people like me wouldn't be an incel while I was I was young when I was younger.
No, I think that if you are like have difficulty or are incapable with interacting with the opposite gender, then you probably can wear the label. But yeah, I think that like what you said about the advice of sorry, I'm going back. The advice of just like going on dates with more guys. I think I need to like become more available to guys or like become more attractive to guys first. Because the pool that I have to select from is so small that once I apply all the filters, there's nothing left.
I mean, it doesn't hurt. Never hurts. Like, I would say that, improving your physical appearance as a guy or a girl is going to do better for you because it's going to increase your pool of options. But I think at the end of the day, you're gonna. My opinion, I think that there's probably going to have to be some kind of compromise that happens. It sounds like you want a kind of specific person, but maybe not. And it just seems like low key. It feels like you're doing the Build-A-Bear thing, where when you meet somebody that fills a couple of those boxes, I don't think it's going to matter very much. I don't think it should matter very much, but maybe it will, but in most scenarios it doesn't. It's like how a lot of, genuinely I've seen other femcels do it in like subreddits and stuff like that, where they're like, I want a guy who is like this, who's like very caring, this, that, and they like construct a whole personality for this, imaginary man. And I genuinely believe ass meets grass, that if there's a guy who cares about them and meets like only like a couple of those things, a handful, I think they'll be fine. I think that's usually how it works.
I think that there's two sides to this. I think that like it's not I don't think of it as like a too many things on my list that need to be filled. I think it's like just basically me being like super duper emotionally dependent, and that being like a really big ask to make of somebody. So that's like basically my one criteria. And then what else did you say? Oh yeah, if I do meet someone that like works with me and that I like, I'm obviously not going to say no. So like it could be that this whole idea that I have in my head is like something that, yeah, like you said, that isn't even going to matter when it comes down to it. So it's possible. It's just I don't see it happening.
I think there is a bit of I don't know, I think between incels and femcels there tends to be a thing where we like fantasize about specific circumstances or things, and then we like hyperfixate on these things. Like a lot of incels hyperfixate on the idea of getting validation from like every woman around them, or like even a significant number of women or whatever. And like a lot of femcels will hyperfixate on having the attention of one guy they find to be really, really good in whatever category. And it's, I just think that a lot of more normal people tend to not have it, like, I don't know, obsess over it as much.
Right. Wouldn't you say, though, that if I did have, like, more needs than the average person, then I would probably, like, obsess over it or, like, look out for that more? Whereas if I didn't have the needs, then I wouldn't care.
I think in general, sure, yeah. If you had more needs than the average person, you would probably be more likely to be isolated and things like that, because your standards would be higher and you wouldn't get into relationships as effectively. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So basically, I need to either lower my needs or lower my standards or something. I don't know, or like just find a way to be more accessible to guys or something.
Well, the thing that is weird to me is that you're categorizing them as needs, but you're like living quite fine. Or sorry, not I shouldn't say quite fine. You're doing it on your own. You're doing you on your own.
Right. So let me be clear. There's states, like there's different baselines. So there's a baseline for like still very young and like I don't expect to go the rest of my life like this, or at least I hope I don't go the rest of my life like this. So I'm like waiting for something. I'm not like happy. If you were to tell me that this is how it would be the rest of my life, I'd be very upset and probably do something drastic. If I basically am able to function because I know that things are probably going to change, just because statistically it doesn't make any sense that I wouldn't find anything ever. And I'd go the rest of my, like, I don't know, 60 years of life or whatever without finding anyone. That just doesn't, I don't think that's going to happen. So I'm hopeful.
Well, what I was trying to communicate is you're doing right by you right now. Couldn't you, like, settle?
I could, but the issue with settling is that I run the risk of having to, like, do the work of having a relationship and then also not getting what I want out of it. So
yeah, I would say that's like life, right? Because there is no scenario where you're going to get everything you want. So you're going to do the work inside of a relationship, but maybe your partner isn't as attractive of a partner as you could otherwise get. Maybe your partner isn't as emotionally available as another partner you could get. You know what I'm saying? You're not always going to get the best deal. So you're just like looking for a deal that you feel like you could live with long term, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, like imagine you're with your ideal partner and they have a similar outlook, but then they gain some manner of status or physical appearance or something, and then they realize they could do better than you. Would you want them to like be like, oh, okay, well, I'm just done here because I can do better?
Well, it's not that I'm looking for the best, because I obviously know I'm not going to get that, eyes, considering that I don't... What?
It's the best in your eyes, correct?
Not really. So the way that I look at it is like obviously I don't have the best to offer, so it wouldn't make sense for me to ask for the best. But it's just I have a certain, like it's like I have like needs that like I would ideally want to be met. So it's like they could be like not that attractive, but if they have the right like temperament, like attention, you know what I mean? If we have the right like dynamic, then I would be happy, because like I'm getting what I need.
My point earlier wasn't to say that like you're going after like the top 1% of guys. The point that I was trying to state earlier was the mentality of like, well, I don't necessarily want to settle right now because that might close doors off for, and I might spend time on somebody who isn't somebody I feel like I can give my everything to. I feel like this is more of the thing that I was talking about previously with a lot of incels and femcels getting caught up in like almost like a fantasy. Now maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's some like blue pill Pixar shit. I don't think that you're ever going to get in a relationship, especially a prolonged one, and be like, happy, really happy and satisfied with the relationship every day. I don't think that's going to happen. I think you're going to be like, damn, I could get a chick that's way hotter. Or, damn, I could get a chick who's like way more, I don't know, what this person might value, submissive or something like that, whatever it might be, right? You could do these things. But at the end of the day, they're there for you.
No, I don't.
Right.
Like, I don't think I think about it like that.
Okay.
Like, it's not really like, I don't know, it's like if I got with a guy, I don't think I'd be looking to other guys and be I could be getting something better right now.
Yeah, no, that's not what I'm trying to say necessarily. Renegade Boss, thank you for gifting 5 fast ones. What I'm trying to say is that the reason is when I asked you why don't you settle right now, you said it was because you would close your doors off to other people as well as putting and investing time in somebody you aren't like, who can't fulfill all of your needs. Right?
Yeah. So like, I feel like if I'm looking for something specific, then I ideally want to find that specific thing.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is personally, from my perspective, I don't think anybody gets the full cut of their deal. Anyone, even like incredibly desirable people, I don't think they get the full cut of their deal.
Okay.
I think in general people are going, because even if you do get the full cut of your deal, you're going to have to assume this person doesn't change. That they don't.
What if?
Yeah, go ahead.
What if I'm looking for like a part? So like it doesn't need to be the full cut. Let's say I'm just looking for someone who is like at least somewhat what I'm looking for, and like even that's hard to find because really the primary issue isn't that I'm like, at least I don't know, to me, I don't think I'm a very selective person.
Okay.
It could be that I'm wrong. It could be that I'm delusional and that I actually am a really selective person. But in my head, it's just, I don't know how to communicate with guys. I don't know how to show interest. I don't know how to like navigate that once I open the door. I don't know how to close the door. Like there's a lot going on with like, from the initial point of like, oh, I see a guy that looks or that like seems like an option, to I've communicated, what I want, what I need, what I'm willing to give, all that whole entire like establishing phase is just, I'm completely clueless. So but I think that's normal for people that don't have experience. So I think I just need to get experience.
Yeah. And just to be clear about your position on sex, is your position on sex that you don't want to have it until you're like in a formal relationship?
Yeah, I think that necessarily for me to enjoy sex, I'd have to be very, very emotionally invested. And unless I can get emotionally invested really quickly, I would need to wait.
For you to enjoy it, that would need to happen?
Yeah. So I can have it, but I'll be really upset and I won't like it.
That's interesting. I feel like I'm in a similar position on the opposite. Well, kind of. Like, I typically don't like sex, but that's not what I was talking about. What I was primarily referring to is like dates and like the initial like stages of relationships. I dislike so much that it just makes like dating impossible.
right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like quite similar in that, and as well my quote unquote standards would be well, I think genuinely my standards are very high, so I have very little sympathy. I think people should afford me very little sympathy. But so that's a little different than your situation.
Look, it could be that I'm in the same boat as you, and I'm just not willing to engage with reality.
It could be. But the so in yours, because I'm trying to imagine, like, how long would it take for you, or does it typically take for you to, like, develop feelings or to establish, like, a desire for a relationship? Because I'm just gonna be honest, if you're if like a guy is waiting to have sex with you for like months, it's probably not gonna work out.
No. I've had feelings for guys like pretty early on, like a month in or whatever. Which I don't think is that long to wait. It's just like a very specific kind of guy where it's like, I feel like cared for and stuff like that. But if I were to do it, just like find someone random that I don't have that 1 month to get to know, then I'd have to like first approach and engage and like open myself up to that, because I obviously am not like opening myself up to everybody. So I need to like become more available and then also vet the people and then go through the 1 month.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so
Fun times
in
in
your
my
mind,
future.
your problem is that you need to work on certain issues that you might have where your neediness or how many needs you need fulfilled by your partner is a little bit too much. So you could work on ways to be able to lower the burden on your future potential partner. And also you need to find ways to interact with men that allow you to be able to ward off sex more effectively until you're ready for either a relationship with them or develop feelings.
Yeah. That was very well said. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else you had to say to me? Because I could go on to keep asking questions, but I feel like the questions I would ask would be either very personal or they would be like kind of questions that you've already alluded to not really knowing, like, or not really like being with. Like I would ask you, like, have you been a part of any online communities talking about things similar and stuff like that? But I imagine based on what you said.
I'm open to like personal questions. I'm not like I'm an open book, but you sounded like you had other things to do tonight, so I don't want to keep you.
I don't. Maybe Darius will want me to do something soon or whatever. But okay, then enlighten me, because I must have forgotten or something. Star Lost, thank you for completing the tutorial. I appreciate that so much. We're getting so close. 4 more. What was I looking for? Oh, yeah. How many relationships did you say you had?
I haven't been in any like long-term relationship.
How many short?
Or like none. I don't know why I said long-term.
Okay, so you've been in no relationships.
Yeah. If I had more experience, I think I'd know what to do and what not to do.
How many
But the
dates
issues
have
I
you
can't
been
get to this. One.
And that was with the weirdo?
Yeah.
Okay.
To be fair, I've been in religious circles pretty like there's a big portion of my life that I've been in very close religious circles that I didn't have access to guys. So yeah, I came into the game pretty late on.
Are you still religious?
No, my family is, but I'm not.
Yeah, honestly, a fair solution might have been trying to find somebody at church. Are you open to that?
Um, I thought about it because I was like, I'm looking for something more traditional. So I feel like that would maybe vet for that a little more effectively. But I also don't really hold the values of religion. So, I mean, I either vet for the traditional lifestyle or I vet for the not liking religion. So I don't know which is more
Is
effective.
religion a deal breaker for you?
What?
Is a religion a deal breaker for you?
Um, not. It depends. I think it depends how invested they are in it. Because if they're like very strongly religious, I don't think I could handle that because that's a burden I've had to deal with a lot already earlier in my life. And it's like if I had that pressure put back onto me, I don't think I could function as a free person that I have become. So.
Okay. Have you tried dating apps?
Yes, they are terrible, and I hate them with a passion.
Why is that?
It's a very it's just like not a good way to get to know someone. So I don't get to know anything about their personality really. Like I don't know. For me, like all the nonverbals, like you know, your behavior, your like facial expressions, your voice, all that is like super duper important to me to get to know like you know how much I could trust you, like the dynamic. It's just so hard. Like I don't care about looks, so why would I go to a dating app that's all I can see, you know?
Sure. But I feel like this changes it. You do. How serious are you about the idea that you don't care about looks? Because in theory, you could just find a really, really ugly guy who probably fits the relationship standards that you want. I would probably cherish you as a prize.
Okay, so there's obviously some baseline. I think like I think I would put that like where I see myself. Like I don't see myself as like the ugliest person on the planet, but
Okay.
like obviously not the most attractive either. So like I think I would look for someone who's similar on the scale to me and like a little bit above or a little bit below. But like if you're going all the way down the scale, then I feel like that would be like a little bit, I don't know, it just make me feel bad about myself.
Okay. Wait, make you feel bad about yourself?
Yeah, it's like I don't know, because especially because everybody else is gonna judge my relationship based on like they're not gonna get to see the needs, like the things that I value. So if they're just seeing the exterior and they just see like this really ugly guy, they're gonna be like, "Oh, she's a loser," or whatever.
And that's important to you to make sure that people don't view your partner that way?
Yeah, it would feel bad to me if people were just constantly judging my partner and being like, "Yeah, he's really ugly. I think you could do better." I'd be like, not.
Mm.
I want to feel good about the relationship I'm in.
Why?
Why?
Yeah,
Because why would you go into a relationship that makes you feel bad?
Well, I'm asking why would you feel bad?
Oh,
Like, because this is something that genuinely, I will say is more common for like more people, but I think it's in general a trait that we should stray away from. One of my exes was someone, I think she considers herself a femcel as well. She thought she was hideous. I didn't think so, but she thought she was hideous. And for me, something that like genuinely didn't give a fuck about is I genuinely did not care if everybody in the world thought she was hideous, because why would I care? Why would I give a fuck? Right? I don't think she's hideous. Why would I care? Right?
yeah. So that's interesting. I think if I thought they were like acceptable, like if I could see the good even in their appearance, then I think I wouldn't care. But you're saying in the scenario that they're just like objectively ugly and I can't find any
Yeah. So
good
like,
in that.
so yeah, I'm not trying to necessarily say that find the most hideous person in the world that you're not even attracted to. I think there has to be some kind of baseline, right? Attraction. But I think you can go pretty low for a lot of people. And
Yeah.
they can be attracted to that person. What I'm saying is, I think if you find somebody who's like very undesirable, but that you still might find desirable, that this person would probably be more likely to give you what you're looking for and not feel like they're getting the raw end of the stick, I guess it would be the issue.
Yeah. I think I'd be open to that for sure. It's just I again have to go through like all the initial stages of like putting myself out there and like, getting more comfortable with them or whatever, like making sure that they're like compatible with me or whatever. Like all that is yeah. And then also if they're like less attractive, then I have like preconceived notions or whatever that they might be a creep. So it's like it's not fun, it's not nice, but like I don't know, that's like what has been put in my head, so it's a barrier that I would need to overcome to like
Oh, you're saying that like you've been conditioned to think unattracted people are creepy?
yeah, I mean I don't necessarily think about it like that all the time. I think it depends a lot on, like you said, the social skills and all that, because I think I'm pretty good at looking past the appearance if they have like good social skills. It's just usually those go hand in hand.
I would say usually, as well as I think there's just a lower threshold for social skills for more attractive people. I think you can get away with being like honestly a piece of shit if you're really hot, and people will often even recontextualize your shit as not being a piece of shit. But yeah.
Yeah. No,
So,
and it goes the other way too, where like you can have like somewhat passable social skills, and people will like be quicker to label you as a creep because you're less attractive or whatever.
Yeah.
So you have to work harder.
Yeah, I think that's true. Did you hold on? Give me one second. Okay. Yeah, no, I agree. I think the opposite exists. They're demonstrable facts. I think at this point the effects exist, but all right. I guess I wanted to just hear that little bit about your perspective. Is there anything else you wanted to say to me?
No, I think that was it. It's been fun talking to you. I've been listening a lot about like things that you have to say about your experience with like incelness and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So I relate to it a bit. So it's nice to hear.
Great. I appreciate you talking to me. Would you be open to possibly doing stuff like this in the future? Maybe if I
sure.
have a... Okay.
They're fun.
All right, great. Thank you. All right. I'll talk to you later, yeah?
Thank you.
Bye.